And the Yankees just made two rotation decisions that are going to split the fan base right down the middle. One of them involves a guy who did everything right, an ERA of 0.66 in spring training, caught everyone's attention. Even Boone admitted he made the decision difficult. And even so, he's not going to open the season in the Bronx. The other, a pitcher with an ERA of almost 12 in the spring. 12. And Boone just confirmed he's going to be in the starting rotation. I know what you're thinking. I had the same reaction. But before you start going off on the franchise, stick with me here, because when you understand the reasoning behind these two moves together, the story starts to make a little more sense, or at least gives us something more solid to debate. Let's talk about it. The Yankees have just finalized their starting rotation for opening day. And look, it wasn't a simple decision. There was tension, there were internal debates, and there's definitely going to be debate here too. The franchise confirmed that Ryan Weathers will be in the rotation to start the 2026 season. At the same time, they sent Carlos LaGrange back to AAA, a guy who dominated spring training in a way no one expected. Two decisions, 1 week, and a divided fan base. Let's get into the numbers, because there's no way around them. Carlos LaGrange threw 13 and 2/3 innings this spring. He allowed 1 run, an ERA of 0.66 in 4 starts. The guy basically didn't let anyone reach base, and he got sent to Scranton. Ryan Weathers, 4 starts, a record of 1 win and 3 losses, an ERA of 11.68, a WAP of 2.11. In a game against Toronto, he gave up 7 runs in 3 innings, allowed a grand slam to George Springer, and left the field earlier than anyone would have liked to see. And Aaron Boone looked at all of that and said, Weathers is in the rotation. But before you click off the video in frustration, you need to understand the reasoning. Because there's more going on here than it seems. The Yankees' rotation for 2026 always had a few locked-in pieces. Max Fried is there, Cam Schlittler is there, Will Warren is there. Those 3 were never really in question. The 4th spot was the big question mark all spring. Ryan Weathers, 4 starts, a record of 1 win and 3 losses, an ERA of 11.68, a WAP of 2.11. In a game against Toronto, he gave up 7 runs in 3 innings, allowed a grand slam to George Springer, and left the field earlier than anyone would have liked to see. And Aaron Boone looked at all of that and said, Weathers is in the rotation. But before you click off the video in frustration, you need to understand the reasoning. Because there's more going on here than it seems. The Yankees' rotation for 2026 always had a few locked-in pieces. Max Fried is there, Cam Schlittler is there, Will Warren is there. Those 3 were never really in question. The 4th spot was the big question mark all spring. Then, out of nowhere, LaGrange shows up playing baseball at another level. MLB Pipeline already ranks him as the 79th best prospect in baseball. Some people are comparing him to Dellin Betances, but with starter potential, which already puts him in a different tier. Betances was a monster out of the bullpen, but never a starter. LaGrange could be both. But there's a reality the franchise can't ignore. Jarrett Cole and Carlos Rodon are expected to return at some point during the season. Both are recovering, but the expectation is they'll be back. And when that happens, the rotation will need to be reshuffled. If you put LaGrange in the rotation now, what do you do with him when Cole and Rodon come back? Do you move a guy who became a starter back to the bullpen? Or worse, back to AAA after he's already pitched in a major role in September? That kind of move can hurt a prospect's development. And the Yankees know it. I know you're frustrated, and you have every right to be. You watched LaGrange pitch this spring. You saw him dominate. You got excited. And then out of nowhere, Boone says Weathers, with an ERA close to 12, is going to be on the opening day roster. It stings. I get it. But let me ask you something. Would you rather the Yankees burn this prospect's service time just to have him on the roster for 3 weeks until Cole comes back? Because that's what would happen. LaGrange in the Bronx right now would be exciting for a month, and then it would turn into a messy roster situation we'd all be complaining about until December. The question isn't whether he deserved the spot. He did, The question is whether it was the right timing, and the franchise decided it wasn't. There's another layer here that not many people are talking about. Boone's decision isn't about Weathers being better than LaGrange. Clearly it's not. The spring numbers leave no doubt about who performed better. This decision is about roster management with a medium-term vision. Weathers has a contract. He's in the system. He's a piece the Yankees have already invested in and need to properly evaluate in a regular season context, not spring training where everything is different. Boone was clear. I don't put much weight on spring training numbers, and honestly, that argument has some merit. Spring training isn't the regular season. Pitchers experiment. Hitters aren't in rhythm. The numbers can be misleading. But there's a limit. An ERA of 11.68 isn't just experimentation. It's a warning sign. So what Boone is really saying is, I believe Weathers, healthy and motivated, can be a functional starter in this rotation for at least 2 months, until Cole and Rodon return and we reshuffle everything. It's a bet. A calculated one, but still a bet. There's also information circulating around the organization that makes this decision make even more sense. The Yankees don't want to rush LaGrange to the majors. The Bettences comparison isn't random. The organization sees him as a high-impact pitcher, and they don't want to repeat the mistake of rushing a prospect and hurting his development. The idea is to keep LaGrange in AAA as a starter, building innings, building consistency. When he comes up, the goal is for him to stay, not just fill a temporary hole. And Boone didn't hide that. He literally said he wouldn't be surprised if LaGrange impacts the team at the beginning, middle, or end of the season. That's basically a warning. He's saying, when the time is right, this guy will be ready, and he will make a real difference. For Weathers, this is the opportunity he needed. A confirmed spot, the manager's trust, and a full runway to prove that spring training was noise, not a signal. If he delivers, even if it's just 4 to 5 innings per start, without falling apart, he's done his job. For LaGrange, the challenge now is mental. You just had the best spring of your life. You were the best pitcher in camp, and you got sent to AAA. That tests any player's character. His response over the next 2 months will define when, and in what version, he arrives in the Bronx. For the rotation as a whole, the question is, can Fried and Schlittler hold down the top while Weathers and Warren stabilize the back end? That's a lot to ask. If either of those two struggles in the first few weeks, the pressure to call up LaGrange will be immediate. The fans won't wait. Look, I'm not going to pretend I 100% agree with this decision. When I see a prospect with a 0.66 ERA being sent down while a starter with an ERA near 12 stays, part of me wants to call Steinbrenner and yell something. I completely get that reaction. But I follow this team every day, and I know the Yankees organization, in recent years, has learned, not always the easy way, that rushing prospects comes with a real cost. Jason Dominguez being rushed. Other names who came up too early and never reached their full potential. LaGrange could be different. He could be the guy who arrives in July or August and changes the entire direction of the season. And if he shows up like that, ready, confident, in rhythm, that's far better than having him in the rotation today, unsure, inexperienced, and fighting for his spot every week. I trust the process, not blindly, but I trust it. The Yankees are playing chess while most of the fan base is looking at a checkers board. Weathers will open the season. LaGrange will prepare. And at some point, when Cole and Rodon return and the rotation needs to be reshaped, there's going to be an even tougher decision ahead. So here's the question I leave you with. When LaGrange gets called up, and do you want him coming in as an emergency replacement or as the starter the organization took the time to develop the right way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to support the channel, the Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description. Every contribution helps keep this content coming every single day. See you in the next video, always for the Yankees.